Dollar short, but we're here. We're ready to recap another Vikings win. It's wild, Jordan. We've got 6 Victory Mondays in 7 weeks.
Yeah, no, it's I'm not giving any audio, so can you go first? Oh wait, oh am I getting audio? I am giving audio. Oh no, I'm used to the little green lines that pop up. And so I freaked out and panicked. Yeah, another Victory Monday. What is this, 5 in a row now? I'm telling you, that bye week just plummeted my ability to run any sort of a show. But that's okay. People don't tune into this show for the amazing production value or
Clearly
anything
not.
like that. They tune in because, I mean, honestly, the streak that we're on picking game balls is incredible. We are really hot picking the game balls and doing all of that. You had Patrick Peterson, so I'm going to give you your flowers. I'm going to let you take your victory lap really quick
Thank you.
while I get this video shared everywhere and everything. But I mean, I guess the question is, I mean, did the defense win us this game, Will?
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at this game, right? Because, it was the first time the Vikings scored 30. So, everybody's excited because, quote unquote, the offense did what they're supposed to do. And they did. I mean, they cashed in when they needed to. They converted 2 short fields for touchdowns, and that's what good offenses do. They don't mess around. They score the ball when they need to score the ball. But um, it's not like the offense completely dominated and it was the defense just hanging on for dear life. We created 3 turnovers, one on special teams, but still we turned the ball over, took it away from them, and put our offense in positions to score the ball. So honestly, I mean, it was one of those classic sort of complementary football games that, coaches are always raving about. There was compliments from all aspects of the game. The offense did what it needed to. The defense again made big plays. It's just they're becoming kind of Dallas Cowboys-esque in terms of turnovers, takeaways, making big plays when they need to. I'm not saying they're as good as the Dallas Cowboys defense. I don't think that's even remotely true at this point, but they have that similar, big play ability. So it's strange, considering the last 2 debacles that we had, last 2 seasons. But yeah, I mean, for you, you can talk a little bit about the defense. What did you see, outside of maybe the aforementioned Patrick Peterson, who came to play against his former team as we expected him to?
Yeah, I saw Zadarius Smith act as though he was playing against his former team. He looked like he had a fire lit under him. Maybe it's because he got the speech from Patrick Peterson and Jordan Hicks about like, hey, they let us go and we want this game and we got to have this one and blah, blah, blah. And so maybe maybe Zadarius Smith was like, hey, I kind of get it. Like I had those same feelings in week 1. Let's go do it. And so he was playing like a man possessed. He had 3 sacks out there. I'm pretty sure he's leading the NFL in sacks at the moment with like 8.5. So I mean, yeah, that's an insane pickup for the Vikings, but that really was what stood out to me. The pass rush was getting after Kyler Murray all day long, and it felt like they won't. I feel like last year when we played Arizona, they were chasing Kyler Murray, and it was like, oh, please run him down. Like, please, like it felt like we were waiting for something. This year, it felt like we were in his face immediately, and it wasn't so. He didn't have a chance to run away. It was like he snapped the ball, and within 3 seconds, his left tackle or right tackle or one of the linemen basically was being shoved back into him, and he was on the ground, collapsed. So it really was nice to see the pass rush get home. Don't get me wrong, this wasn't the greatest day defensively in the history of Vikings football. We still gave up 26 points. We had some very suspect tackling where I think we were a little bit too worried about getting a strip and forcing a fumble than we were just like, hey, let's make the tackle. But maybe that's what these guys are being taught, because maybe that plays into why we have so many forced fumbles and turnovers this year. But other shout outs that I want to give on the defensive side, obviously Harrison Smith, he had a pretty good game, and Cam Bynum came down with an interception on a pass that I believe was just a little bit behind the wide receiver. Cam Bynum happened to be right place, right time, and comes down with it. So definitely some big plays made, and not Vikings related, but Green Bay lost, Chicago lost, Detroit lost. I mean, the Vikings, they really, and I'm not going to gloat because I was the king, I was the leader of the last time the Vikings were 5-1, they went 8-8 and missed the play. I'm not getting too high yet, but like, man, you're the only team that wins in your division. You're 6-1. At some point, you just have to smile, lean back, and say, maybe this is the year.
Yep.
We make the playoffs. I jokingly told my wife on the drive home from my parents' house yesterday, I said, have you been a Vikings fan long enough that you can feel it in your stomach yet? And she said, feel what? And I said, you can feel the loss in the NFC Championship game coming. Like, you can just feel it creeping up every day. We get a little closer. If we are going to make an NFC Championship game, though, the offense has to play similar or better than it played in yesterday's game against Arizona.
Yeah.
Will, what were you impressed with most on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah. I know you asked me a question there, but I want to go back two quick things on the defensive side. One thing that safeties are always taught is, don't let anybody get behind you, right? Cam Bynum on that interception, and he was right place, right time, but he was right place, right time because he made sure that that tight end, I think it was Zach Ertz streaking across the field, wouldn't, get behind him. He was there waiting for the interception, so he was in position to make that play. The other thing, the Vikings converted their short fields for touchdowns. The one short field we gave to Arizona, our defense stood up and made him kick a field goal. So, again, just hats off to those guys on defense. On the offensive side, honestly, for me, it was just run, baby, run. It was led by the ground game, and
even Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it was that Kirk scramble. I feel like he was as surprised as I was as he turned that corner and he just kept going. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him run that far for a touchdown. Funny enough, last year against Arizona, he had a run of I believe 22 yards. It was longest run of the year by far, kind of thing. And then this year as well, runs it in for a touchdown. But no, the running game, it was funny because on the broadcast, I believe it was Mark Schlereth was doing color for Fox, and he kind of made the generic comment like, oh, this offense runs through Dalvin Cook and it sets up the play action passing game and blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of sitting there like rolling my eyes at him because it just felt like the classic, like, national media person, hasn't watched a Vikings game all year, talks about the Vikings as if this is 2017 and, all these things like, and I mean, turns out he was right about that game yesterday because the offense did run through Dalvin Cook and it did feel like a Mike Zimmer era offensive attack in the best way. And I don't think that's what we expected. I think we expected the Vikings passing game to attack the weaknesses in Arizona's secondary, but they clearly watched more film than we did because they were prepared to just attack on the ground. And, Kirk Cousins didn't have to do as much as maybe we've asked him to do in the past. He had an efficient game, 67% completion percentage, 230 some yards, couple touchdowns. He didn't throw any interceptions. He had that one fumble, but yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the offense ran through the ground game, and it was good to see because something that Kirk said after the game too is, if they want to go as far as they want to, or if they're going to go as far as they'd like to, the running game has to show up. So that was just a really encouraging sign because kind of for the first time this season, it was a boon from the running game.
Yeah, I think that's the obvious takeaway is the running game was really on. I was actually shocked. Every week, the game finishes, we celebrate, we complain, whatever it is, in my family circle as we watch the game in the living room. Typically, we stay for like the first drive of the next slate of games because the Vikings are typically a noon team.
Sure.
And my dad always asks, oh, well, this guy probably had this many yards. And he always wants the stat sheet, like, as soon as I can give it to him. So I always pull it up, and I was like, Cook had to have had 150 today, because it just felt like that kind of day. He only had 111 yards. Like, don't get me wrong, only 111 is like, that's
Who's that?
Dalvin Cook.
Oh, I thought you said Kirk. I was like,
No.
Kirk only ran like for like 20 yards.
No. If Coke runs for over 100 yards, I will like go join the Peace Co and donate every dime I make to charity. Because clearly, like, I don't know. There's some joke there, but like, I'm not gonna try and make it, I guess. But no, Dalvin Cook only had 111 yards. But in the first half, especially, it felt like it almost looked like Green Bay against Buffalo last night, where it was like it felt like we were averaging 7 yards a pop, just bam, bam, bam. Every time we gave it to him, he was getting first downs. And I guess the game script probably took us a little bit away as Arizona took a lead, so we started throwing a little bit more, and we had to stay a little bit aggressive. It felt like that was a huge game from Dalvin Cook, and it was barely over 100, which I'm okay with. I think that's a healthy place for the offense to be is, this is the most dominant the Vikings run game has looked all season, and it still wasn't that dominant. We still are a pass-first team because that's kind of what the modern NFL is now, right? Jefferson had like a quiet game, and he had 98 yards. And he just didn't find the end zone, and I guess he was, a couple yards short of breaking 100 again. But, like, I don't know. It feels like this game shouldn't have been this close, but it also feels like we could have lost this game. And that's such a weird thing, but every Vikings game has been that way this season, where it has been... At times, I think this team can go beat Buffalo. They can hang with Kansas City. They can hang with the great teams. They can beat them on any day. Like, let's go. And in the same game, they make me say, this team's not ready to take on, like, Philadelphia again. I don't know if this team could beat even, like, the lowly Green Bay Packers of the 2022 season. Like, I know we beat them once, but they'll be a different team later in the season. So I still have way too many questions to legitimately be thinking bigger than just we play Washington next week and tune into the show on Wednesday night to see that. But I think that's fine. I think Mike Florio, Vikings fan in air quotes, he keeps saying like the Vikings just keep winning these games that they shouldn't be winning because they blow the lead. And then they come back anyway and they win.
Yeah.
And he was like, eventually that's just like, that's what you are as a team is you are a team that just, you bring, I feel like the Vikings bring teams to their level. They get them into like this, ground and pound UFC dogfight thing. And they have come out on top more than they haven't. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We get to play Taylor Heineke on Sunday. And I think that's going to be exciting. But offensively, I don't know. I was really happy at times. I was really not happy. Still going 3 and out, doing that stuff. I don't know. I have my nitpicks, but also there was a lot of good. So
I think something that we can fall into very easily as fans of a specific team, or in our case, fans / sort of covering the team. You kind of fall into just, laser focusing on the team that you are watching, and you are very critical of the team you are watching. And like last night, Buffalo dominated the first half, didn't do much in the second half. But like nobody around the country is going to be freaking out about Buffalo, except maybe Bills fans, because they're going to be like, why didn't we put them away? Why did Josh Allen throw that stupid interception in the red zone? Why did we let this undermanned Green Bay team almost come back? And like, Bills fans, there's probably some that are doubting this morning because of that. So there's something with like, when you zero in on a team like we do, you're going to be really critical. Like, gosh, they have too many 3 and outs, or they have, too many inconsistencies in the defense, or they have all these, different problems, which are, good. You want to address them. But I think when it comes to our ability to compete with other teams, I think especially if we get a team in US Bank Stadium, I think we can compete with anybody.
Yeah.
On the road is a different story. We've only really played a couple true road games to this point, and so maybe too soon to really know what kind of road team we are. But I mean, the next 2 games are on the road, so we'll get our first chance. But Yeah, I mean, to Mike Florio's point, like, yeah, maybe we should be, blowing these teams out, or maybe we should have separated a little more. But something that Colin Cowherd often says is, winning close games is no longer a fluke. It becomes a habit. It becomes, like you said, part of who you are.
Yeah.
So I think this is a team that they've found they've found something, and they've found an ability to win, and you can see it in their swagger. You can see it with the way their defense is just having fun out there. You can tell they're just having fun together. I think the offense would like to see themselves execute better. I think they have a really high standard for themselves, which is good. um, but man, like, the way Patrick Peterson is flying all over the place and making fun of Kyler Murray in the middle of an interception, um, those kind of things. It's just like, it's wild, how much fun they're having, and it's obvious that this team is, they're moving in the right direction. And last thing I'll say on this is, O'Connell said in the post game locker room that they're an ascending football team, and I think he's right. I think, we've seen flashes. We haven't seen them put it all together yet, and man, they're 6-1. So you really can't complain much about that with where we're sitting.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I didn't have the highest hopes going into this season. I expected us to, win a minimum of 8 games. I really expected us to be over 500, maybe contend for the wild card. So I'm thrilled. It feels like
Yeah.
the Vikings are playing with house money, and that's really cool. That's a really, really cool thing. I do want to say you have the infamous the Vikings will win as many or the same amount of games as Kirk Cousins has interceptions, which should go in like the Spouts Take Bible, because that's just absolute gold. I want to submit one, and it's nowhere near that. This can go in a different, this can go in like a dollar store version. The book that goes on the back of the toilet of Spouts Takes. The 2022 Minnesota Vikings are the Jimmy Garoppolo of football teams, in that they are so questionable and you don't quite get it, but wow, they are winning. They are winning a lot, actually, and should probably be taken serious. And I think that's kind of how I'm feeling today, and how I was feeling 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, all season long is like, I leave every game with just as many questions as I have, answers, and I also have a lot of confidence. I don't have any doubt. This will be my final thought, and then, oh wait, no. This will be the last thing I say before I pass it to you for your final thought, and then I'll get us out of here. But I lost my train of thought, and I had something queued up, and I lost it because I panicked about who was doing what. So I'll pass it to you. Maybe it'll come to me as you get your final take in. But then we'll get out of here. And like I said, hopefully that comes back to me, because I think that was going to be the best thing that's ever been spoken into a microphone.
I think my final thought for this week is just going to be the potential concern that we have to have over our kicking right now. It's not necessarily like sound the alarm, our kicker is terrible, because we're really only taking 50-yard field goals right now, but also 3 missed extra points this season already. You can tell he's forcing the issue a little bit. When he missed that extra point at the end of the game, you can tell he didn't just kick it. He was trying to guide it through, and you can kind of tell with the way he was, swinging his leg. And I'm no kicking expert, but there's just a level of concern there. And I saw a tweet from Paul Charchian from K-Fan saying we should go trade for Daniel Carlson. I think it was Paul Charchian. Sorry if I got the source wrong there, but Daniel Carlson for a 3rd-round pick. So I mean, hey, the Raiders are out of it. Why not? So, I mean, it's a concern that I have. I'm a fan of Greg Joseph. I like his demeanor. He seems to have a good head about himself. So, I mean, he had struggles last year and he bounced back. So I don't think we should kick him to the curb yet. But I think I have some concerns, and also, I mean, the trading deadline's tomorrow, so if you're going to do something about it, maybe do it now. But
yeah,
that's my last thought. Something we need to chew on here, and obviously Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell are thinking about too.
Yeah, absolutely. The take did come back to me, and is really not that spicy or anything. I have no doubt that the Vikings. This will be my final thought, and then I'll plug all of the social medias and the sponsorships and all that nonsense. But I have no doubt, and this is looking way ahead. No doubt at all. In 2 weeks' time, I don't think the Vikings will lose. Like, will get blown out by Buffalo. Will they win the game? I don't know. I doubt it. I'll be honest. I'll give that prediction early. I doubt it. But I don't think that it's going to be a blowout. I think the Vikings should be able to hang in there. I think they're a scrappy team that is experienced in winning close games. And who knows? Maybe the Buffalo inexperience at winning close games ends up costing them, and the Vikings steal one that maybe they shouldn't. I told one of my buddies a long time ago, and a long time ago was like, I think a month ago, like a long time ago in football sense. I told him at towards the beginning of the season that, yeah, the Vikings might beat Buffalo, and then Buffalo might beat Minnesota in the Super Bowl. There's your booking. There's the NFL season from middle to end, I guess. But yeah, I think it's been a fun season so far. You just got to enjoy it. Make sure that you tune in on Wednesday night at right around 7 o'clock. Right around 7:30, somewhere in there, Central Time, to see our preview of the Washington Commanders game. Probably a trap game. I think we're both going to have some similar concerns. We'll break that game down for you and give our insight on that. Head on over to Unified Athletic Wear to shop, like the fall collection. They're going to be having like Christmas and Thanksgiving stuff coming out. Really cool stuff over at the Unified Athletic Wear shop. You can get a cool hat like the one that Will's got on his head right now. Make sure to follow. I'm doing it. I'm getting crisscrossed because we switched our positions on the show. Make sure to follow Will at Will Bad Lose on Twitter. Make sure to follow the show at LTB Vikings. Check out the Bad Loser blog, and check out VikingsTerritory.com for all of your Vikings takes, news, and everything you want. Other than that, I like I said, tune in on Wednesday. I think it's gonna be a fun show because this has been a fun season, and we're just having fun. Can you tell we're having fun? Can you tell by how many times I'm saying fun? But other than all of that, I'll leave you guys with Skol, y'all.